In our last video, we delved into a man who committed grievous acts out of undiluted hatred for his mother. Now imagine an absolutely terrifying inversion of that pathology.
Well, what parts would you take, Paul?
Just inside
The head and the sexual part. And you cut them out?
the
What would you do with the sexual part?
that then.
One was painted it then.
Oh, that one, when they died, we got put the table there. Is everything right, Then being involved, they drive me on it. See?
Or would you put them to dry?
Gotta ruin it. I'll just put it back.
Imagine one who commits those same grotesque acts out of a twisted, obsessive love for his own mother.
Welcome to CrimeScope USA. Before we get into the video, do smash that like and subscribe button to help the channel. Also, don't forget to ring that notification bell so as not to miss any new videos from us.
To understand the horror, we must first understand the jailer, Ed Gein. Ed was trapped. He was raised by his fervently religious, puritanical mother, who taught him only two things: that the outside world, especially women, was wicked and sinful, and that he was entirely dependent on her will. The Gein farmhouse in Plainfield, Wisconsin, was less a home and more a psychological prison dedicated solely to Augusta's judgment. She enforced a rigid isolation that stunted Ed's emotional and social development, leaving him profoundly repressed and entirely incapable of interacting with women on any normal level. When Ed's older brother Henry grew resentful of Augusta's suffocating hold, he met a suspicious death in a brush fire in 1944. The cause was ruled asphyxiation, but Ed was interrogated, and many believe this early event was the first sign of his deep-seated rage against those who challenged Augusta's authority, or her influence over him. Then, in 1945, the axis of Ed Gein's world collapsed. Augusta died. Ed, now 39, was utterly, psychologically alone. He didn't move on, he moved inward. He sealed off his mother's upstairs bedroom, creating a shrine, preserving her belongings as if waiting for her return. The loss of his sole companion, his sole master, left a catastrophic void. The fear Augusta had instilled was too strong to allow him to seek living companionship. His sick solution was to turn to the one group he was both obsessed with and safely distant from. This phase was Gein's long, terrifying apprenticeship. His crime was unique: grave robbery. It began as a desperate, pathological attempt to reconstruct his mother, or failing that, to create the symbolic female companion he could never have in life. Driven by his obsessive need to study and rebuild the female form, Gein became a regular trespasser in local cemeteries. Using local obituaries, he targeted recently buried middle-aged women who physically resembled Augusta. Under the protection of fog and darkness, he would exhume their bodies from local cemeteries, an act he later confessed to performing up to 40 times, though only a fraction of those are confirmed. This ritual was highly satisfying, as it provided material and control over the female form without the emotional complexity of interacting with the living. His farmhouse became a horrifying hidden workshop. He learned basic anatomy and practiced crude taxidermy, transforming the remains not into trophies of violence, but into macabre domestic decor. The objects were not made for sale or show. They were props in his private world, used to fulfill his dark, desperate fantasies. This included the lampshade, the tablecloth, the armchair upholstery, the nipple belt, and the skull bowls. These items were integral to his rituals to transform himself into the female figure he craved and feared. This decade of grave robbery acted as a rehearsal, fulfilling his urge for possession without crossing the ultimate boundary. But as the remains deteriorated, his pathological satisfaction faded. The compulsion grew stronger, and the psychological boundary separating the controlled dead from the resistant living was about to shatter.
In 1954, Ed Gein finally escalated. His first known murder victim was Mary Hogan, a tavern owner who vanished without a trace. Her body was never found, a testament to Gein's early, chilling efficiency. But her disappearance confirmed that his pathological need for possession had begun to demand living victims. The true end came 3 years later. In November 1957, Bernice Worden, the owner of the local hardware store, disappeared. Her son, alerted by a suspicious transaction, a gallon of antifreeze sold to Ed Gein, alerted authorities. This single, mundane piece of evidence, a can of antifreeze, was the fatal thread that finally led police to the Gein farm. When Sheriff Arthur Schlee and his deputies finally entered the Gein farmhouse, they found a scene of unimaginable, meticulously organized horror that defied all known human experience. They found Bernice Worden's body, decapitated, hung upside down, and gutted like a deer in his shed. But that was merely the introduction. The house was packed with everyday domestic items alongside the macabre creations. They found the bowls made from skulls, the upholstery made from human skin, the leggings made from leg skin, the mask made from a woman's face, and the infamous corset fashioned from a human torso, the skin suit he intended to wear. Gein's home was a living monument to his disturbing psychosis, a place where the human form was stripped of its dignity and purpose, repurposed as household goods and clothing in his desperate, terrifying fantasy. Ed Gein was immediately judged as clinically insane. He confessed to the murders of Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden, detailing his grave robberies with that same blank, matter-of-fact tone used by the most detached psychopaths. He spent the rest of his life institutionalized, dying in 1984. His 2 confirmed murders and countless grave desecrations were the most twisted, grotesque culmination of extreme psychological isolation and a perhaps rare psychological disorder. Gein's story shocked a post-war America that preferred to believe evil was a distant, foreign enemy. Ed Gein proved that pure, localized horror could fester quietly in the most ordinary of settings, driven by a simple, pathological loneliness. His legacy is permanent, a chilling foundation for the horror we consume today, reminding us that the darkest monsters often wear the plainest faces and are driven by the most profound pathological isolation.